Hello and welcome to my intended playthrough of Rogue State, which I bought recently. I've had, I was going to say I've had 2 practice games. I've actually had 3. I scored an adequate performance twice. And the game in between, the second one, the reason I hesitate to call that a game as such was that it lasted 1 turn and the coalition, which is basically American and its allies, invaded with ground forces straight away. Nothing I could do about it really, so yeah, it was over very quickly. But it's given me time to work out a bit of a strategy, having the practices. It's fairly easy to follow. I don't think I'm making any mistakes. Famous last words. So we will see how it goes. And it plays fairly quick. I'm thinking, obviously I'm going to be talking as well and explaining what I'm doing. So I'm expecting, just take that away because I'm going to set everything up and I've just left that on the board. Maybe 2 or 3 videos should be enough to do it. So I'll follow the instructions through for setup. Then I think I might explain the victory conditions so that you know what you're doing. There is a little player aid as well, which is quite handy and easy to follow. One thing I will mention, just in case I forget later on, is there is an error on it. At the end of each turn, it says increase infrastructure by 1 level. That's not right. You decrease infrastructure by 1 level. So, game setup. We've got 3 lots of cards, which I've already shuffled these, but I'll just fiddle about with them each a little bit more, just so that nobody thinks I've set them up for an excellent game. So yeah, just a little bit of that, so you know what they each set refers to the different eras. Now a game turn lasts 7 years. So you can see up at the top, these are your turns, 1953 through to 2030. And you can hopefully see the little symbols, the blue square, red triangle, and a white circle, 1st, 2nd, 3rd eras. And you also have a number of tech event or chit, I would say chit cards, tech event chits. So we're going to put these in here. That's your first lot. It's the 1st era. Your 2nd era. I'm not saying much about these because you'll see as we go along what they entail. You draw one of these each turn. And then the 3rd era, they go in there. That's the setup for the cards and the counters. Resource counters, now this one I already set up. You get 30 resource counters, you can see down here. You got the sign of the 1, which is the Korean currency on there. They all start in circulation. You earn them as revenue, so they're not available, but if I can speak, they all start there, and each turn you earn revenue, which you can then spend, which goes here. Once it's spent, it goes back into circulation. So usually at the end of each turn there'll be 31 tokens on there, and you can see that the portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, first leaders of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which I've not actually explained about the game. You are the leader of North Korea, and the intention is for you to survive all the way to 2030, and you gain points, Juche points, which is Juche, which is their idea of the communist ideal, and you need to get as many points as possible. Now, once I've done the setup, I'll talk about how you earn those points. So we've now got tracking counters to put on. So the first one is the turn counter. Obviously, we start in year 1. You will notice the little diamond there. And that's where it starts on turn 1. And there is a little diamond here, all over the place. This is your starting turn for everything, which makes it very easy to follow. So the next one is the production counter goes onto that space, which is level 1 production. Then the infrastructure counter goes here. Yeah, little diamond. I'm going to end up saying little diamond about 15 times now, aren't I, as I'm talking. Next one is the export marker, which is there. That provides limits on the resources you get. Talk more in detail as we go through the turns. Now we have the foreign debt limit. There's 2 counters for that. 10 times counter and a 10 times counter goes there. That goes on 9. So at the minute your total, actually sorry, I'm doing that wrong. It's your debt limit, so that goes there. And your debt limit, so your debt limit is 9, which, you know, that's so that's $9 million or 9 million ones, which are not really critical. And your foreign debt counters, which is what I was putting down in error to start with, go at 0 for that and 0 for that. This is just after the end of the Korean War, 53. Not in debt at all at the moment. Critical events area now. And there are 4 of those critical events right in the centre of the map. We have got the revolution one. We'll put them all on the check area to start. Then we have the natural disaster critical event, which really hurt me in the last game. I think I'd have had a major victory without that. I think I rolled that 3 or 4 times in a row, which can be quite devastating. We have also got the coup d'etat and the coalition offensive. Now, the ways to lose in this, I think you can. There is a way of losing if you don't have enough counters to pay for your military. I think you can lose under that, but that shouldn't really ever happen. But the ways you really do lose is through a revolution by the people being dissatisfied with you and rising up against you. A coup, which is your ministers overthrowing you. And as happened to me, a coalition offensive. Now, there's different types. There can be a sort of minor offensive, but if they get the ground forces in, that's when you're in trouble, and that's what defeated me on turn 1. They obviously decided to reinstate the Korean War straight away, and that was me done, all done and dusted. Regional tensions counter starts at 1, which is the lowest it can go to. And the threat effects goes to that point because it's not in effect. I've never actually used these. Actually, sorry, threat effects I think goes there. Let me just, that's me doing it without checking. Threat effects, yeah, the threat effects goes in that box. The threat indicator goes there. I said I was going to go through the rules and do it like that to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I've started ignoring that straight away. The military track. At the top, you start at level 1. I've had to balance my camera higher up than normal, so that's why I'm reaching round it. The 2 nuclear counters now. I think you can see on there, one has got an A on it and one's got an E. So your A is your actual nuclear level of technology, and the E is the estimated one. So that's what the Western world thinks your nuclear development is at. This is what you're actually at. And they can be different at times. As you know, North Korea is a very secretive place. And social economy counter starts in the C space. And the Russia and China relations starts very strong. Now, we also have, just wondering where to roll this. Will that fit there? Yes, I think it will. So we start, we've got 4 dice for each cabinet minister. And we can choose, when we roll for the first time, you can choose which dice roll relates to your industrial minister. That determines how many resource counters you get each turn. You've got your public service minister, who determines how your social economy does, which is very important. It can be disastrous if that starts to slip. You've got your foreign minister, who deals with diplomacy and also technology. So if your points through these chits will have available foreign technology, which we need to actually buy. So that goes in here, as well as making sure that Russian-China relations stay strong. And then you've got your Director of Research, who's responsible for nuclear development. So possibly not always as urgent. You do need him, but you don't always need him every turn. So what I'm going to do is roll all 4 dice, and then we'll see where we end up. So you can see that we've got a 4, 6, 4 and a 1. Now that's good, because what we do is, to start, each minister serves 4 terms, unless you get rid of them earlier, which you can do. And this obviously starting the first term. Now, to get the starting level, you divide that score by 2, and then you round up if necessary. So I'll just demonstrate that. So I want this to be the industrial minister, the highest one. So divide it by 2, so we've got a score of 3. The industrial minister there, his initial skill level is 3. To me, that's the key. This is the key. You need to get as much money in as possible early on, so you can start developing things. That's where you need to go. So the next 2 are both going to start at skill level 2, because they're both 4s, and you divide it down. So I want to try and get the social economy up. I'm going to, for the foreign minister, and this one, divide down, add up. Divide half it and then round it up. So half it is down to a half, and then you round it back up to 1. So that stays there. So that, not as crucial early on, in my opinion. Like I say, this is only really it's my 3rd game. It is my 4th, but it's really my 3rd game. So, and there's a fair chance I am not doing it the most optimum way, but we'll see how we go with that. So let's get started. The first thing you do is you draw and resolve a chit. Let me make sure to remember to have not got those on screen. So let's go for this one. So what have we got? No event. So nothing happens there. So I'm just going to put that. That doesn't go back in there. That goes out of the way. So I'm putting that away. And the next thing is we draw an event card. Let's have a look. The Capsan faction plot. Not a great start. So, a rival political party attempts to remove you from power. The coup d'etat is automatically triggered at a trigger factor of 8. Only purges ordered in step 6 will reduce the risk. Bribes have no effect. There's also that counter, which affects these sanctions. That means that it stays the same. You can have an arrow to the left or right, which will move them across, but that one, nothing. So the coup d'etat is automatically triggered. So the coup, it's a fact. No, these are the same here, but you're looking at that figure there, the little number 8 in brackets. So it goes there. So there's a fair chance they're going to have a go at a coup. You'll see where we're going with that in a while. Hopefully it's not going to be a very short game like my other one. Next thing now is we collect resources. That card, by the way, will be discarded at the end of that. This is some cards, can't get that off the perspex there. Some cards have different symbols on, which means the repeat turn after turn, or you can use them. So that one is just a one-off, so it'll be gone after this turn. So we're at level 1 production, and the Minister is level 3. So we start with 9 resource tokens. Additionally, we move down here to the infrastructure. You can follow these arrows, so we're on this level. -2, because the infrastructure of the country is not very good at the moment. So we're 9 -2, it's 7. We then look at the export market, which provides a limit to how many counters we can get. So 9, we get 7, we're well below that limit, so we get 7 tokens. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I'm just going to double check something I know. At any point, we can take out some foreign debt between steps 2 and 6. Now, step 6 is where we budget our resources and we allocate them. I will be doing that, but I don't need to do it right away. I'll see where I am with things. We can purge a minister, which because of the coup, we could get it does reduce the adjustment factors here by 2. I'm not sure where, I'm just trying to work out where it does that. Because you don't normally have a coup. We don't normally aware that there's going to be a coup at this point. It's normally when you roll a die. I think you can purge later on in step 6. Ah, yeah, sorry, and I should have read the card. It actually says there. Only purges ordered in step 6 will reduce the risk. So bribes have no effect. That's something else we can do. So it's purges we have to do, but we can't do them yet. And there's a chance that coup won't happen, but we'll explain that. So we're now on to the critical events phase. The first one is the natural disaster. All these have different adjustment factors normally, these other events. This one doesn't, a 1 or a 2, and this is what I kept rolling before with the 12-sided dice. Really don't want it in the first turn. So we've got an 8, no problem. So that's checked, no natural disaster this turn. We're now on to revolution, and we look at the current social economy value as the trigger factor. It's C. C is there, so we're on 4. So for revolution to potentially be triggered, it comes with a 1, 2 or a 3, because it needs to be less than the factor index. So let's see what we roll here. And it's an 8, so that's good. No chance for revolution this turn. The coup, we know we're on level 8. So what we need here is an 8, 9, 10, 11 or a 12. And we've got 12, we've got lucky. Or have we? No, we haven't. Yeah, we must do. A coup d'etat is automatically triggered at a trigger factor of 8. Now, yeah, it's triggered, so we have got a potential coup. So yeah, so I didn't need to. That was a pointless roll because we've got that. Coalition offensive is dependent on regional tensions. At the moment, they're as low as they can be. They're there at 1. See the number in brackets. So we put that on there, and then we roll. And we don't want a 1, 2 or a 3. It's got to be less. 11. So the only thing we've got to worry about at the moment is the coup. Next step of the critical events is issue a threat or a launch. Well, You can't issue a nuclear threat until you're at level 3 here anyway. And I think I mentioned that I've never done a threat. I've not seen the need for them. Oh, there is times where you will do, but I haven't needed to. So we then go on to regional tensions. Tensions automatically go down by -4 at this point, so you move them down 4. We're already at the lowest. But then we roll 1 6-sided dice, and it's a 6. So a 6 means there has been some skirmishes on the border, on the demilitarised zone. So 6 means we move it 2 steps to the right, which won't really affect many things. I don't know if it will affect anything this turn, but it will do in the next turn, potentially. Okay, so we've done the tensions. You also, what I have missed, you can have ambient effects as your nuclear technology grows. That also means you move the tensions up. So once we get to there, that starts to happen. And that is something I quite often miss out on. So we now budget resources. So resources can go in different areas. To me, the crucial thing is capital investment. Now, we also want to do some purges. So this is where we're going to use some of the foreign debt limit. We don't want that at the end of the game, but early on it doesn't matter too much. And what I've also forgot to do is talked about the victory conditions. So these chucha points that you need. Now, some cards do give you them. Here, you've got your scoring here for how you do. Now, this is where I've done adequate leadership. But what's important is your final industrial production level, 1 to 6, we're on 1 at the moment. And the final military strength level, we're on 1. You add those, then you multiply by 5, subtract 10. Then you multiply again by a factor depending what your actual nuclear level is. Any event card points, and you subtract the final foreign debt amount, which is what I was talking about. Early on, it doesn't matter. You can actually launch nuclear missiles, but that's very dodgy to do because you can just lose outright. And then there's some others. If religious tensions are less than 6, you lose 8 points. So you do want religious tensions at the end to show how strong you are, but it hampers you during the game. -8 if social economy is less than C. We're currently on C. And -8 if Russia-China relations is weak. So sorry, I should have gone through that before. But so that's what we're aiming for. That's where we are with things. So what I want to do here is get this up as quickly as possible, because we get more resource tokens. The earlier we do it, the better. So we need 6. Basically, 6 of those there gives you 1 level increase, which is the most you can do in a turn. So that's used most of our revenue, but we need more. Infrastructure. We need 2 just to stand still, and you'll see, because you move them up, but at the end of each turn, they go down 1. So if you put 2 resource counters there to go up 1, it'll come down. So I'm going to put 4 there. So I'm going to go up 2 levels, and then it'll come down 1. So, but we haven't got 4, we've only got 1. So I'm going to take 3 more out of circulation, which will then increase our foreign debt, well, start our foreign debt. It'll go up to 3. So we can borrow a maximum of 9 at the moment. We also need military levels here. It costs us 1 token just to maintain that, so we need to do that. And I believe this is where I believe if we don't, we lose the game. Yeah, if you don't have any counters due to liability and lack of loan capacity, and automatically military coup occurs and the player immediately loses. So if you haven't got access to 1 counter at this point, you deserve to lose. You really are in a mess. So I'm borrowing another, so we're up to 4. Social economy, we have to roll the dice for this, and what's taken into account is the skill level, plus a new resource allocated, plus a 2 dice roll. Now, we don't want that to be dropping, so we need to be rolling 12 or 13 minimum, ideally higher. So, but we haven't got many counters left. I'm ignoring the nuclear part and I'm ignoring the diplomacy at the moment because they're not critical. And you'll see as I come to roll them. But I want to do a purge. That's really dangerous. We could end the game in one. So, let me just find the right page for this. See, purges don't normally happen in step 6. Sorry, additional purges. Yeah, so yeah, I can do it. Sorry. Well, oh, it's there. Implement additional purges. For each minister marked for purging with a resource count, their die is rolled. So I should have done that. I'm just going to carry on. So to mark one for purging, I just put 1 counter, and you have to start with the highest, unfortunately. But I really need to do it, so I'm going to use another 3 counters. Which 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to be foreign. Do I do 4? I'm going to do 4, which takes my foreign debt very high. And marked for purge, marked for purge, marked for purge, and marked for purge. Now, what we do, so we now start to implement that, and so I've marked 4 for purge, and you'll see why that is important. And I've done this really to make sure I don't lose straight away. So what we do to purge each one, we are going to roll the dice again and they're placed in space 1. So we're on a 3 here. There we go. We take that, we roll it again. And a 4. So like we did before, we halve it, goes down to a 2, and it's there. It's not too bad early on because we're only in turn 1. The skill levels of the ministers increase at the end of each turn up to the end of the 4. So if you're going to do the purges, it's best to do it early on before they're built up. So we're going to purge them all. So this level 2, public service. No, normally I don't ever use. I normally, if nothing goes down there, if it doesn't go down there, I don't normally do it. But I don't want to sound like I'm cheating, so I'm going to put it as a 1. But for future reference, if that happens again with the dice, if it doesn't go down the tower, it doesn't count. And a 3, so we halve it down to 1.5, but round it up, so we round it up to 2. So, which I think is what it was anyway. And then this one's 1 anyway, so this might actually improve it. 2, half it, still 1. So they're purged. We've got new ministers in place. Complete clean sweep. So, now we implement capital investment. If 6 resource counters are allocated, that moves up to level 2. So we've done that. Now we're going to infrastructure. 2 resource counters is +1 infrastructure level. So we go up by 2. But if you remember, I've already said that's going to drop back down. So we've done that. Nuclear development. We haven't got any technology yet. You see these lines, these limit you. So until we get that technology, we can't move into 2 or 3. And then we need that technology, which is available in the 2nd era. And that's available in the 3rd era. So at the moment we can't do this. There's no point doing a roll because there's nothing we can do. Military investment. We have to make sure that the counters, the cost of 1, we've done that. If we'd have invested 2, we could have moved up to level 2 military, and then it costs 2 each turn. And then each time you do an extra count in your turn, it moves up. But you can't move the military level up above your industrial production level. And our industrial production level was 1. Now it's 2. So now we can go up to 2. So I'd like to have invested in this one, social investment, especially now we've purged in, we've dropped it down a level. So we've got a level, we've got a minister of level 1, plus resource, we haven't allocated any plus a die, 2 dice roll, 6-sided dice. We're probably going to drop down because we really need 5 and a 6 or a 6 and a 6 to avoid that. And a 2. So we've got a total of 3, which is -2. So we drop right down here. So there's a danger of evolution next turn, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. Russia and China relations. Each turn at this point, you roll the 12-sided dice to see whether the relations stay as they are. And I said this, there was no effect to it moving up. There is. Because we roll this dice, and if the dice roll is greater, is less than or equal to the tensions, which are 3, the relations are dropped down by 1. And they are 3. I don't know if you can see that. Just move it. There you go, 3. So not a lot of luck on this first turn, but it's early days. We'll turn it round, hopefully. So relations go down to neutral. Now we do diplomacy, which if we hadn't to drop down, there'd be no point because we've got no technology to find, to get, and we couldn't have improved that. But now we'd like to get that up. Now it's unlikely, and you'll see why, because the minister's skill level 2 plus the resources nothing, plus the dice roll plus negotiation level. Now again, it was +2, it's now 0. So dice roll +2. And we need 14 or more. Well, we're not going to get more than 14 because 14 is going to need double 6 to improve it. Very unlikely. Would be nice. No, double 4 instead. So nothing happens there. Okay. So that's all of the policies implemented. Now we go back to any critical events that need resolving. And the coup. Okay. So it stays on that level, and we're going to roll the dice again to see if it happens, but adjustment factors, -2 per purge of the highest skilled minister. Well, we've purged them all. So -2 times 4 is 8. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. I could have just done 3 and it'd been very unlikely, but also it was a level 1 minister, so it costs us a token, but it's made sure that this roll less than the factor index. Well, the factor index is 1, so less than that is 0, which it can't roll. So we've avoided the coup. Not always in a position to do that, but on this occasion we are. Where are we? So that's it. First turn done. We're going to reset the board now. So we move all these counters back to the check space because we're going to go through it all again in turn 2. Threat reset and effects adjustment. There's no threat made. Nuclear audit. We roll a 12-sided dice, and this is where, if your actual nuclear level is higher than your estimated, this is what you roll the dice for, to see if the foreign powers discover. Now it's not. It's the same at the moment. So no point. We don't need to roll. Check event card. Well, the event card is done. That's out of the way. Turn that over there, put it off the board. It doesn't go back in the pack. That's it, done with that card. This is where there's a mistake where it says increase infrastructure by 1 level. It actually decreases, which is, you know, it's a 7-year turn. The roads and railways are decreasing over time unless you invest. So we moved them up 2, but they drop back down 1. And we move all spent resources back into circulation. So all these, it's a very expensive turn actually. I'd plan to use some debt, but not that much. In fact, I think that's the most I've used in any of the games, and I've done that in the first turn. So it's not the end of the world, because the main thing is getting these up for the multiplication of them, as you saw when I went through the explanations. So I think that's all the counters. Done that. Now we advance the cabinet ministers. So level 2 one goes up to a level 3, and it's term 2 now. Same here, but level 2 This one goes up to level 3. And this one to level 2. And we adjust the foreign debt limit. Maximum loan is 6. That's plus the current debt. So the current debt is 8. So the foreign debt limit is now 14. So one on there, and that one goes to there. So we can borrow some more if we need to. And finally, we advance the turn year counter to 1960. Now for about 35 minutes in, I'll do one more turn. Or shall I leave it here? So we'll start to move quicker as we go along. Yeah, let's do one more turn. So we pick up a chit. Now event. So what's on this? I can't remember if there's just one or two in the first one. I think there's just one. It's this technology. So until we do that, we cannot advance the nuclear program at all. So that's not happening. So for a better card this time. Oh yes, it is. So it's a peace overture. Democratic People's Republic of Korea engages with the Republic of Korea in discussions of peaceful relations. Activate at the end of step 2 of the turn used. End of step 2 is you collect your resources. Lower regional tensions equal to the number of resource counters applied to this card. Discard after use. Not good. It's only low at the moment, so it doesn't really matter. The other thing on it is this. So the export market goes up, which is good. And I think, do we have to use it this turn? Carbon arrow pointing down may be saved and applied later at any turn of the player's choosing. And it doesn't. Some of these cards, they get discarded after a certain event, but this doesn't. So that might. It's not a lot of use early on, but it might be later, so let's put that there. So now we're on to the resources, collect resources. And also we can purge or intimidate cabinet. In fact, I might intimidate a cabinet minister just to show you what that entails, and we could do with that one coming up anyway. So let's talk about resource counters. We're now here. Here's level 3. We could do with that one up as well. This is the problem, you've never got enough. So level 3 minister, level 2 production, we're 11. So we follow these arrows, we're still in this bit, -1, so it's 10. So we've got 10 resource counters to work with. I really want to borrow a lot more. So there we've got our 10 counters. So yeah, I'm on... So I'm only going to... Am I even going to intimidate any? Yes, I am. It's best to do it earlier on in their terms, because as the further on in the terms, you don't get as much for your money. The earlier you do it, the better. So I'm just looking for the intimidation, make sure I get that. So the player may optionally expend 1 resource counter per minister to intimidate them. Intimidate a minister will motivate them to immediately increase their skill by 1. If they've also been replacement minister from a purge, may not be subsequently intimidated in the same turn. Well, we did purge them last turn. So, or here's another one we could do. Interesting little. But you've got to do it to your highest. Right, you can purge the highest skill level. Interesting, that doesn't say the highest. I've been reading it as the highest skill level. As you can see, we actually expend 1 resource count per minister. A purge may be performed for the purpose of removing ambitious, high skill level ministers, which may mitigate the likelihood of a coup being triggered in the current turn. And it will motivate all other ministers of a lower skill level, increasing their skill by 1. So yeah, that's... do I do it? Do I do it? I'm going to actually, and this is a bit of a risk. I'm going to purge this one, and you'll see why. So yeah, so divide that by half, round up, so it's going to drop down to 2. So he's back there, but he will go to 3 next turn. Anyway, the reason I'm doing that is because all of a lower skill level, which he was a 3, that one was a 3, so that's not a lower skill, but these two, because of the purge, it upskills them, because they're all frightened now, have been purged, so they perform better. So this one goes to a 3, and so does this one. So now we move on to the critical events. Again, 1 or a 2 is natural disaster. We really don't want a natural disaster this turn. It's a 7, so we're fine. No natural disaster. Revolution. We're now at E, so we're not very good here. E, as you see down the brackets. So we need above a 5. And it's an 11. I'm not sure you can see that. Let me 11. And that's good. No revolution. A coup. Now we didn't actually work out how this works last time. So the sum of 1 for each level 4 minister, 1.5 for each level 5 minister, and 2 for each level 6 minister. And then you round them down when you've had them all. We haven't got a level 4 at the moment, so, but it still could occur because the number in brackets there, 0, which is where we're at, is there. So if we've got a 1, there's still a danger of a coup. 11, so no effect there. Now the coalition offensive, we're at regional tensions of 3, which is here. And so we want above a 5. And we've got a 9. So good stuff. Nothing to get in the way of what we want to do with our money this turn. So let's get away. Let's, first of all, for our policies, do the things we've got to do. So we don't want infrastructure to drop. So that's really to keep it still, because it'll go up 1, then drop down. Military. I'm not bothered about increasing the military too much yet, so we'll just keep that level 1. And we've got 5 counters, so we're not going to increase production level at this point. But what we really want, both of these up. So we've got 3 plus however many resources. I want to get up to here. So eight. So that, sorry, I'm just saying 8 random. 3 plus 5. So we start with a base score of 8, and then we roll 2 dice. So we've only got 1 token left. Do I want to? You can keep counters, by the way. You don't have to spend them. In general, that seems a bit daft to me. You need to do as much as you can with one. There might be a time where, because you need 6 to win, you might keep 1 or 2 back to save it up for that. I'm just wondering whether to do that, but I try. I've got a 3, nothing extra in negotiations. It's very unlikely we're going to hit that one. So I'm thinking of keeping the 1, but then do I put it in there? Because if we missed, no, I'm going to keep it. I don't know how I'm doing. And it goes down at the end of the turn. I'll do it now. It goes down to the bottom because the export market, I don't think we're going to hit the export market, and well, we're not. Although you could draw a card that will make it better, but if there is an export market limit, it's to remind you that that one doesn't apply. That's already been earned in the previous turn, so that's basically, it's in the bank. Okay, and I have missed something out. Adjust regional tensions after I've done that. This is me not looking at the thing. I keep doing this. So dissipation of tensions goes down to there. Doesn't really affect anything that I've done it out of order. But has there been any demilitarised zone incidents. So let's roll and see. A 4. A 4 means an increase of 1. So yeah, slight skirmish on the border. No ambient effects because we're not there yet. That does increase it. So that's that done that I've missed out. So let's go on to the policies. So additional purges, there aren't any, we've already done one. Capital investment, we haven't invested 6, so that doesn't go up. Infrastructure goes up for now 1. Nuclear development, we've not got anything yet, we can't develop it. Military investment, we've paid for the military that we've got at the moment. Social investment, so we're rolling 2 6-sided dice and we're adding on these, so we're adding on 8 to this, and we want to get over 15 because then we can increase that back up. And a 6 and a 9 and an 8. A 6 and a 9 and an 8, sorry. 6 and a 3 is 9, plus the 8, 17. So it's just what we wanted. So we move up 2. And I've saved that counter because I've toyed with the idea of allocating it there. Well, we've got it anyway, the maximum. So we now check Russia and China relations with the 12-sided dice. And it's, as long as what you don't want to be is less than or equal to regional tension. So we need 3 or higher. 7. So Chinese relations stay where they are. They can potentially go up here, although it's unlikely because you can either do the technology once we've got it, or you can try and improve relations. Well, we're going to improve relations because we haven't got any technology. Skill level plus resources 0, plus negotiation 0, plus the dice roll. And if it's 14 or higher, we can move that up. But it's unlikely. We've got a score of 3, base score of 3. So we need fairly high. And it's double 3, so we scored 9. So we haven't increased relations, unfortunately. So that's the policies. The next we resolve triggered events. Nothing triggered. So we reset the board. These over to the check side. Threat resets and effects adjustment. Nothing there. Nuclear audit, we're still at the same. They know that our nuclear capability is nothing. We check event discard conditions. Well, we don't discard it because we haven't used it yet. And we can keep that for as long as we want. Decrease infrastructure. So that goes back down. We moved it up and it goes back down. So basically we're in stasis without status quo. We're not in stasis. I'm not on Red Dwarf. So let's move these counters back. Remembering to keep that one where it is. So that was a better turn than turn 1. What I'm hoping doesn't happen is as I'm going along, it looks like it maybe be, we're 48 minutes in, so I'm going to stop after we've done this. But probably it's going to be a 3-parter, I think, this playthrough. What I'm hoping is we don't lose the game automatically on turn 4 or 5 and have it cut short, but we'll see how we go. So we've moved the resource. We advance the ministers now, so he goes to a 3 and he's on turn 2. He goes to a 4 in turn 3. In fact, all the others do. 4 in turn 3. And a 4. Let's get level 4 in turn 3. We adjust the foreign debt limit, which I think is the same. We're at 8. And the maximum loan is 6 on top of that, so we're at 14. So we're already at 14. We've got an extra bit of revenue. Final thing is we advance to 1967, and I'm going to, like I say, I'm going to leave it there. We're nearly 50 minutes into this, so I'll be back in a couple of days to see how we're doing. All right, not as well as I did the last time I played it, but so I'll be back in a couple of days. So I just got Siri going off there. Yeah, so a couple of days I'll be back, and we'll see how we get on in the the end of the first era, and we'll probably get through the second era ones as well. Thank you very much.